Imagine thinking victory is just days away, only to watch it slip further out of reach with every passing week. That was Russia in the summer of 2024. Reports back then painted a picture of an army on the verge of conquering Pokrovsk, a vital Ukrainian stronghold in the Donetsk region. The city seemed doomed. Yet more than a year later, Pokrovsk still stands under Ukraine's flag. Despite having nearly 8 times the manpower, Russian troops have failed to move the front line an inch. What was supposed to be a swift victory turned into a long, grinding embarrassment, one that highlights Ukraine's fierce determination and Russia's staggering missteps. It all started in late July and early August of 2024. Russian forces were advancing quickly, seizing villages like Progress and Lozovatske. Each gain pulled them closer to Pokrovsk. As tension grew, Serhiy Dobryak, head of the city's military administration, ordered an evacuation on August 15th, warning civilians that Russian troops were now less than 10 kilometers away. Explosions rocked nearby areas as critical infrastructure and homes came under attack, leaving innocent people caught in the crossfire. Global media followed every update. Ukraine's top commander, Alexander Syrsky, admitted that fighting around Pokrovsk was fiercer than anywhere else on the front lines. Even President Volodymyr Zelensky voiced his fears for the city's fate. And with good reason, Russia's 40,000 troops in the region outnumbered Ukraine's defenders by more than 4 to 1. For a moment, it seemed Pokrovsk's fall was inevitable. Then, everything changed. Russia's advance suddenly slowed, then stopped altogether. The long-awaited declaration of victory never came. Despite partial encirclement and constant shelling, the city refused to break. What Moscow had expected to be an easy win turned into a drawn-out struggle against defenders who simply wouldn't give up. By March of this year, Russia was desperate. Its military had already spent months trying, and failing, to capture Pokrovsk, so this time they threw everything at it. Tanks thundered toward the city, artillery pounded neighborhoods. Bombs fell across nearby villages as Russian troops tried to choke Pokrovsk off from supplies by pushing toward Dobropilya. They even sent in sabotage units disguised as civilians, hoping to stir panic inside the city. But every move met a wall of resistance. Ukrainian defenders, quick and clever, found ways to counter each attack. Drones and mines stopped armored columns in their tracks. A surprise counteroffensive near Dobropilya trapped Russian units instead of breaking Ukraine's lines. And with help from locals, Ukrainian forces hunted down the infiltrators hiding among them, one by one. Still, Moscow wasn't ready to back off. They poured in even more firepower: heavy artillery, tanks, and over 180 multiple-launch rocket systems. This was supposed to be the final push. Putin himself reportedly wanted Pokrovsk captured before meeting U.S. President Donald Trump, hoping the victory would prove Russia's strength and pressure Ukraine into accepting peace on Russian terms. But summer came and went, and Pokrovsk remained unbroken. Today, the fight has reached the city's outskirts, where brutal street battles rage block by block. Despite outnumbering Ukrainian troops 8 to 1, Russian forces are still failing to gain control. President Volodymyr Zelensky remarked on October 28th how astonishing it was that such a massive force had achieved so little. The toll has been staggering. In just the first half of 2025, Ukraine captured about 2,200 Russian soldiers in the area, while thousands more have been wounded or killed in what many describe as reckless, disorganized assaults. Yet Russia continues to press forward, flooding the skies with drones, 10 times as many as Ukraine, according to military sources, and once again sending disguised saboteurs into the city. Now, Pokrovsk is nearly surrounded. Russian forces have seized most of the surrounding territory, giving them control over every escape route. Around 1,200 civilians remain trapped in the ruins of a city that once held more than 60,000. With shelling constant and Russian troops closing in, their safety hangs by a thread, and history is watching to see how long Pokrovsk can hold. Reports from the Institute for the Study of War have painted a grim picture of what's happening inside Pokrovsk. Russian troops are reportedly opening fire on civilians, trapping about 1,200 residents inside the city. With every road out now under Russian fire control, anyone who tries to escape, whether on foot or in a vehicle, risks being killed. Despite this, Ukrainian forces are doing everything they can to protect those still inside. They've managed to keep limited routes open for food, water, and medical aid, ensuring the trapped civilians don't face starvation on top of the constant bombardment. But the situation grows more dangerous by the day. Even so, Ukraine continues to hold large sections of Pokrovsk, a remarkable feat given how long Russia has been trying to take it. The Kremlin had expected to capture the city months ago, hoping to use its fall as proof of momentum toward other strategic targets like Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, and even Kyiv. Putin reportedly wanted to announce Pokrovsk's capture during his talks with President Trump as a symbol of Russian dominance. But that moment never came. Instead, Moscow's forces remain bogged down in brutal street fighting, their long-promised victory still out of reach. Ukrainian soldiers continue to dig in, determined not to surrender an inch. One Ukrainian major stationed in Pokrovsk described the situation simply, "We're holding the city for now. It's stable chaos in there." According to him, around 200 to 250 Russian troops have massed on the southern edge, battling fiercely to gain ground. Yet despite being surrounded and outnumbered, Ukraine's defenders continue to resist, fighting not just for a city, but for the hope that Pokrovsk still stands. Wait a second. If you are new to this channel and you like what you see and hear, please subscribe, like, and join the conversation below. If you're not convinced yet, subscribe and tell us how we can earn that click. We're all about getting better together. Let's move on. If there's one thing working in Ukraine's favor right now, it's home field advantage. Pokrovsk isn't just another battleground, it's their ground. Ukrainian troops have lived and fought here for months, memorizing every street, every alley, every blind turn. They know where to strike, where to hide, and how to use the city's layout to outsmart a much larger invading force. That knowledge has already helped them hold back Russia's push longer than anyone thought possible. And help is on the way. The same Ukrainian major who described the situation as stable chaos confirmed that elite special forces and assault units are moving in to reinforce Pokrovsk's defenders, with orders to clean out any Russian soldiers who've slipped inside. President Zelensky later backed this up, telling reporters that satellite and drone intelligence had spotted about 200 Russian troops within city limits. He added that defenses are being strengthened daily, and that Ukraine's drone operators are working non-stop, tracking enemy movement, gathering intel, and directing strikes in real time. Zelensky admitted that Russia's focus on capturing Pokrovsk shows how important the city has become to the Kremlin. Still, he voiced confidence in his troops, praising their grit and calm under pressure. "The moment Russian soldiers show themselves," he said, "they're found and destroyed." But the standoff in Pokrovsk isn't just about one city. Zelensky pointed out that Russia's obsession with this single target has forced it to pull troops and equipment from other parts of the front, leaving gaps Ukraine could exploit for counterattacks elsewhere. It wouldn't be the first time Kyiv turned the tide by striking precisely where the enemy least expected it. The president also reminded the world that none of this would be possible without international support. Weapons, ammunition, and financial aid from Ukraine's allies have kept its defenses strong and its soldiers supplied. Pokrovsk's stubborn resistance, he said, proves that this help matters, and that as long as it continues, Ukraine can keep standing its ground, not only here but across the entire front. President Zelensky made it clear that Ukraine still holds Pokrovsk, and that Russia's much-hyped offensive keeps falling apart. He said Moscow has been forced to delay its campaign plans again and again, losing massive numbers of troops in both the Pokrovsk and Dobropilya sectors as Ukrainian forces push back. Some have tried to compare Pokrovsk to Bakhmut, but Ukrainian commanders say the situations are completely different. This time, the defenders aren't trapped and waiting. They're fighting back hard and holding their ground. Ukrainian air assault troops in the city confirmed that the battle remains intense but far from critical. In a recent Telegram update, the 7th Corps wrote that the defenders are actively countering Russian advances and have been reinforced with new assault units, artillery teams, and drone operators. They've also ramped up their use of anti-air drones and net launchers to disable Russian Mavic drones and are remotely mining key infiltration routes to cut off enemy movement. Between October 25th and 26th, Ukrainian forces reportedly killed about 40 Russian soldiers in close fighting. The message noted that Russian troops inside the city aren't holding their positions. They're trying to move north, likely hoping to stretch Ukraine's defenses and block vital supply lines. For now, neither side has full control of any part of Pokrovsk. On the Russian side, the narrative is, unsurprisingly, very different. On October 26th, Russia's top general, Valery Gerasimov, told President Putin that the Kremlin's forces had surrounded 5,500 Ukrainian soldiers in Pokrovsk and another 5,000 in Kharkiv. But research groups like the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, say there's no evidence to support any of those claims. Analysts believe Gerasimov is either wildly exaggerating or fabricating numbers to make Russia's situation sound better than it is. The ISW and other experts have repeatedly noted that Russia often relies on false battlefield reports to shape global perception, a key part of its propaganda strategy. By convincing the world it's winning, the Kremlin hopes to pressure Ukraine and its allies into a ceasefire on its own terms. But few are buying it. The reality is plain to see. After more than a year of relentless fighting, Russia is still struggling to capture a single city. In its most recent update on October 28th, the ISW reaffirmed that while Russian forces have made small, localized gains around Pokrovsk and Mirnorod, there's no indication of any major breakthrough or of Ukraine's defenses collapsing anytime soon. According to the ISW, the front line around Pokrovsk is constantly shifting. Both armies are trading ground. One day Russia inches forward, the next, Ukraine strikes back. Even as Russian troops push deeper into the city's streets, Ukrainian forces aren't staying on the defensive. They've launched counterattacks in nearby areas like Rodinske, just north of Pokrovsk, trying to reclaim lost ground and keep the pressure on the invaders. Analysts say the fight remains unpredictable. The situation changes daily, with each side gaining and losing small pockets of territory. Yet Ukraine still holds key advantages: strong defensive positions built up over months of fighting, a deep understanding of the terrain, and unwavering morale. If reinforcements and international aid continue to flow in, it's entirely possible that Ukraine could turn the tide once again, driving Russian troops out of Pokrovsk and strengthening its foothold across the Donetsk region. Stay tuned for more clear, factual, and up-to-date reports on the Russia-Ukraine war and other major global conflicts. Thanks for making it this far. It means you like what we do here at Eurobulletin. We will appreciate if you took 5 seconds to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your views regarding the topic. See you tomorrow for another video.